minutes around the corner. Before he gets here, on a totally different topic, what I want you to do right now is I want you to write down either on your phone in your notepads, or if you got a piece of paper and you want to write it down, I want you to write down a topic that you're passionate about so far that you've learned. It could have been today or any other time in your journey up to this moment, but something you've learned about network marketing, about people, about communicating, about yourself, anything at all. I want you to write it down. If you've learned it and you've discovered it and you're passionate about it, I want you to write down whatever that topic is. Just one thing that you're passionate about that you've learned so far in your educational process of network marketing. Got that? Okay, so while you're thinking about that, because there's a reason why you're going to be thinking about this, is I'm going to share a diagram with you. By the way, wasn't this law of process just powerful?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, have you guys ever heard of bamboo?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what happens with bamboo. That's the ground. And somebody at some point has to plant a bamboo seed. So that's the seed right here. So we got the ground, and we have seed. That's a bamboo seed right there. And what's really interesting about bamboo, I liken all of us to this seed right here. Now, Joel shared a statement. I'm going to repeat this statement, and it was perfectly a tie-in to what I was planning to share here. So he said something, as close as I can quote him, that you cannot learn and look cool at the same time. Think about when you learned how to snow ski. I mean, it was like pizza, and you were all over the place. That's not looking cool. The first time you water skied, you were holding on, and then bam, you flipped it, and your eyelids were peeled backwards. That's not looking cool. So no matter, when you went on your first date, you were probably nervous as all get out. If someone could have observed that, it probably didn't look very cool. So whatever you did the first time, it just didn't look cool. And so when you're building network marketing, here's what you have to know. It's going to be the same thing. Nothing you do. Some people, albeit you are more natural than others at certain things based on the way you might have been brought up or the things that were already programmed in your head. By and large, there's a process to everything. So here you are. You're that seed. You're inside of Youngevity, and maybe you're here for a day, maybe you're here for a week, maybe a month, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 3 years. I don't know. But here's what I do know. I do know this, is that when this seed gets planted, we so badly want to erupt and look great up here because everything that happens above ground is looking cool. Yeah. Right? When the flower blossoms, it looks cool. When the tree buds, it looks cool. When you first plant the tree, it looks sick, like it's dying. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ben Fuchs, and we've been doing that clock, and we've been. I thought 12:30. I'm so sorry.
No, you're right. 12:30.
Yeah.
I was gonna study up.
So, well, thank you so much.
We have talked about you, and I've told stories about you. They know your background. They know where you came from the front pharmacy, and they're so excited.
So no intro necessary. So I don't need to tell you my story.
No,
how many guys?
You can do that. Yes.
How many of you guys have heard me speak before? Okay, and how many not? Okay. So how many do you guys know what I do? Should I tell you any of that stuff? Or yeah. All right. Well, we're here to talk about CBD first of all. You guys know that. What time do we have until?
You have until 1:30.
1:30. Okay, good. All right, so we got plenty of time. You guys know about that's plenty of time. So, do you guys know about the new CBD products?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Anybody have them yet? I don't know if are they available? No. Not available.
Sort of.
Good. So they are or not?
Both.
They are available, but they're not available.
They're available at convention.
But nobody's. How many of you guys have used them? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. So I'm a child of the 70s. Some of you know what I'm talking about. I see. So we all have this idea about pot and about marijuana, and it kind of clouds the really unbelievable, mind-blowing, it's just jaw-dropping power of the stuff that we call CBD. So first of all, if you're a child of the 60s or the 70s or even later, and you have these preconceived ideas about pot, marijuana, getting stoned, and it's like most people don't have a neutral zone when they think of pot. They either think pot is really bad stuff, gets you high, say no to drugs, fries your brain, the egg crack, you ever see that thing? This is your brain on drugs. Or some people say, well, I kind of like pot and marijuana. I like the buzz. I like the high. And we want to get this idea of high and the high, the intoxicating effect out of our heads because it really clouds our ability to understand how powerful a medicine is. So if you're a just say no to drugs person, understand that what we're talking about here is medicine. We're talking about a tremendous healing tool that we have that grows out of the ground, that grows in the cracks of the sidewalk. It's a weed. That's another thing. If you understand the power of herbs, or if you're an herbalist or you like herbs, you know that what we call weeds that grow out of the cracks of our sidewalk and we spray Roundup on to get rid of are the most powerful medicines there is. They're unbelievable medicines without side effects and toxicity, and that's where this stuff called CBD or marijuana, if you will, comes from. That's the category it falls into. So if you have this just say no to drugs mentality, clear it, get rid of it. This isn't drugs. This isn't the kind of drugs we talk about, the toxins. This is healing substances. If you're of the mindset that pot is somehow something that you get high with and listen to music with and improve your sensations with and taste buds with, that's all probably true, but get that out of your head too, because what we're going to talk about is the power of this stuff as a medicine. But not just any medicine, as it turns out, a really cool medicine, a medicine that's made in your body. Now, the reason I got into nutrition, and just for you guys who don't know who I am or what I do, is I'm a registered pharmacist, but I was always troubled by drugs. Because it just never made sense to me that you could poison the body and somehow be better for it. It just never computed in my head as a student how when we studied a pharmacy, and I wanted to study pharmacy because I wanted to help people, I wanted to heal people. And from day one, we're studying toxicity, we're studying side effects, we're studying how drug companies are always working with trying to make less side effects, and how you take drugs to take care of the side effects of the first drugs. So it just never computed, never made sense to me. But one of the things we study in pharmacy school that a lot of people don't recognize is we study nutrition. Except we don't study nutrition like a dietitian studies it, or like a chiropractor studies it, or like a doctor studies it. We study nutrition like a pharmacist. We study the healing properties of nutrients. We study vitamin A as a remedy for night blindness. We study vitamin C as a remedy for osteoporosis or connective tissue diseases. We study B vitamins or niacin as a remedy for, or as a treatment for brain disease. So on the one hand, in pharmacy school, I'm learning about drugs as poisons. On the other hand, I'm learning about nutrients as not only remedies, but deficiencies as the cause of diseases. So in my head, naive brain, in my 20s, I'm thinking, well, why are we doing the drugs? We should be doing the nutrients. And I made it my business to really study nutrition, so much so that after 2 years of working at Kmart Pharmacy down here, do you guys remember Kmart when it was down here? 2 years of working at Kmart Pharmacy and a little bit of working at Albertsons Pharmacy over here. You remember that Albertsons Pharmacy? Is that still there? No. Still there? So after doing it for 3 years and making it my business to tell people, hey, you know what? You might want to take some vitamin C in that instead of that antibiotic. Or you might want to take a little bit of niacin instead of that Parkinson's disease medicine. Or you want some zinc reacting. After 2 years of doing it, 2.5 years of doing that, I just started a nutritional pharmacy. I quit Albertsons. I started a pharmacy that was specifically designed to make skincare products for people and nutritional supplements for people. And the more I learned about nutrition, the more I became convinced that we're not sick, we're starving. That we don't need to be fixed. We need to be fed. We don't need doctors medicating us. We need to figure out a way how to access and leverage our God-given powers and taking nutrients from foods and healing the body. And so I started doing talks. I met Dr. Wallach 20 years ago. And I've been involved with Youngevity, as some of you know, for 20 years, doing these talks. And I've always thought that the most powerful healing tools are going to be tools that are found in the body. I did this for skincare. I use ingredients in my skincare products that are found in the body. I use nutrients because they're found in the body for healing. Because if something's in the body, number one, it's got a role, clearly. It's got a purpose. And number two, it's non-toxic. It's in the body. The body makes it. So I've always been fascinated with using nutrients for healing, using stuff that's in the body for healing. Now, some of you know that I don't really talk a lot about herbs. Because to me, there's no herbs in your body. There's nutrients in your body. Herbs are more like food, and there are substances in herbs that can be extracted and used, but I focus more on nutrition because nutrition is found in the body. However, with CBD and with marijuana, what makes this plant so amazing is the active ingredients in the marijuana plant are in your body. And they're not only in your body. The active materials, the medicinal compounds that are found in the marijuana plant, or also the hemp plant, I'll tell you about that distinction in a second. The medicinal compounds are not just in your body, they are the most fundamental molecules in your body. They're the most fundamental action molecules, the most fundamental molecules that do things, that make things happen in the body. And they're in the plant, and they're the exact same molecules are in your body. That's amazing. There's a system in your body called the endocannabinoid system. You guys hear that term? The endocannabinoid system. Endo means inside. Cannabinoid is a family of molecules that are found in plants, but also found in your body, that act at the level of the most fundamental chemicals that turn things on and make things happen inside your body. What are the chemicals that turn things on and make things happen in your body? In fact, in Greek, the word for this class of chemicals is I arouse to activity. What is this molecule? Hormones. Exactly. A hormone is a chemical that's secreted in your body that makes things happen. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that works and how things make things, what I mean when I say make things happen, and then we'll get into some specifics about the cannabinoids. So your body, we're all looking, you look at our bodies, we all know what bodies look like, arms and legs and fingers and heads and faces, but that's not really what our body is. If you could zoom in really, really close, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, you zoom into somebody's body, what would you see? You'd see two main substances, two main categories of substance. You'd see what I call cells and stuff. And this is what the body is. We're cells and stuff. And this is really important because you see, our medical model and even our way of thinking about health is really not at the level of the cells and stuff, which is the fundamental building blocks, the fundamental components of us. We think of the body as organs. And so if we have a heart problem, we go to somebody who's going to take care of our heart. Or if we have a liver problem, we go to somebody who's going to take care of a liver. Bone problem, we go to somebody who's going to take care of our bone. But nobody has a bone problem. Nobody has a heart problem. Nobody has a liver problem. We have heart cell problems. We have bone cell problems. We have liver cell problems. And the failure of the medical model, make no mistake, it's an utter failure when it comes to treating chronic degenerative disease. Any physicians in this room? He's all shy over there. We're not gonna pick on you. I love this. I'm not like, for me speak. I don't rip on physicians. I rip on the model. I rip on the medical model a lot. And the reason why the medical model, and you can tell me what you think about this. I'm sure you're going to corroborate what I'm going to say here. The reason the medical model has failed us when it comes to chronic degenerative diseases is because it's focusing on the organ, not the cell. At the fundamental level where disease takes place, it's not at the organ level, it's the cell level. And there's a couple of implications here. First of all, probably the most important implication is the reason the medical model doesn't tell us about the cell, not that it doesn't know about the cell, the reason doctors aren't trained in the cell, they're trained in the gallbladder, they're trained in the bone, they're trained in the intestine, they're trained in the parts of the body the organs of the body, the systems of the body, but not the cells of the body. The reason they're not trained that way is because, you see, a cell is not stupid. A cell, for its size, is probably the most intelligent thing there is. The most intelligent thing in life is a cell for its size. Let's just keep this thing in perspective. A cell is about 1/100th the size of the head of a pin. So you fit 100 of them end to end on the head of a pin. And within that little structure, that's 1/100th the size of the head of a pin, that if it was sitting here on my hand, you couldn't see it. You use special magnification to see it. It looks like a little blob under a microscope, this little entity. But this little entity that's 1/100th the size of the head of a pin has millions of working parts in it. Millions. And these millions of working parts are in special areas, in special compartments in this little blob that's 1/100th the size of the head of a pin. And these parts that are in little compartments, you're getting a picture here. These parts that are in little compartments are constantly breaking down and building up. They're being destroyed and rebuilt every split second in this little blob. You guys, in this little blob, this 1/100th the size of the head of a pin, all of this dynamic activity is happening. All this incredible stuff is happening. This is a highly intelligent, highly structured, tightly regulated, incredibly responsive living entity that is what we're made of. And I guarantee you, not one of you thought about that today in this room. We don't. We don't. And it is so mind-blowing. The chemistry and the molecules and the movement and the dynamism and the intelligence and the responsiveness that's in this little thing. And somehow, 100 trillion of them got together to make us. 100 trillion of them are in us. Now, there's two implications here. Number one, the major implication here is that doctors are not trained in the understanding of the cell because a cell is not stupid enough to take a doctor's remedies. There's not a single thing in a doctor's magical bag of tricks that can make a cell healthy. In fact, the only thing a doctor can do to a cell is kill it, radiate it, electrocute it, poison it, or remove it. Now, how's that health? How does that count as health? If the most fundamental of health is at the level of the cell, and the only thing our medical model can do is kill and radiate and electrocute and remove and somehow damage and destroy this living entity that is what we are made of, how can medicine possibly work? It can't. And this is why it's a failure. Doctors, the cell is not dumb enough to take a doctor's medicine. And that is the bad news, because there's nothing the medical model can do for us. But here's the good news. The good news is a cell doesn't need anything. It needs hardly anything. It needs very, very little. It needs three things. It needs oxygen. It needs food. And it needs a clean place to do its work. Period. The only thing that can go wrong with a cell is starvation, suffocation, and toxification. And who controls the cell at those levels? Who controls what a cell eats? Does the doctor control what a cell eats? Who controls how a cell oxygenates itself or breathes? The doctor, doctor medicine, surgery, drugs? Can that do anything to help a cell breathe? And who controls the toxicity that the cell surrounded it? We do. How is the doctor going to have anything to do with the toxicity? And by the way, what is the major source of the toxicity that gets into the body? That's not the major source, but yeah, drugs represent a major toxin. You know what the number one side effect of drugs is? Prescription drugs? Number one side effect. All prescription drugs is the first one. Nausea and vomiting. Next one, diarrhea. Why? Because your body's trying to get rid of it. If you've ever had an upset stomach after you've eaten a drug, that's your body saying, I wish you didn't put that in us. So yeah, so doctor's point well taken, but the most common source of toxicity is food. And so you can see how while the medical model has failed us and there's nothing they can do about it, we have so much power and so much control over our disease state. And the only Only thing that will keep you, if you're sick, or you know somebody who's sick, from taking these words to heart, what I just said, is a disease called overthinkitis, where you're probably thinking in your head, oh no, this couldn't be. It can't be that simple. It can't be just food, nutrition, breathing, and keeping my body clean. There's gotta be, it's too easy. It is that easy because the cell has evolved over billions with a B, billions of years to be completely independent, to understand how to handle its environment on its own, with as long as it's given these three criteria: food, oxygen, and a clean place to do its work. If you took a cell and you put it in a dish, took it out of your gum, or out of your cheek, and you put it in a little petri dish. You guys know what a petri dish is? It's a dish that has food, has media in it, food for cells. And you put food in the cell would grow legs and walk to the food. And you put a poison, the cell would back off away from the poison. It's an intelligent being. In fact, the planet is filled with something called unicellular organisms. You ever heard that term, unicellular organism? A unicellular organism is a cell that is not part of the body. It's completely on its own. It lives on its own like a living being. The ocean is filled with them. We call them algae. The planet is filled with these single-cell organisms. They live in the highest mountains. They live in the deepest valleys of the ocean. The ocean's got some really deep valleys. And these single-cell organisms live everywhere because a cell is a life. And don't be deluded by the fact that 100 million of them have gotten together, 100 trillion of them have gotten together to form a body. They're every bit as much, if you take a cell out of your body, it's every bit as much independent life as a cell that's floating on the ocean. Google single-cell organisms. Oh my God. The structure, the shapes, they've got little rotors on them, some of them. The most amazing things. Just Google images. And by the way, Google images on anything I'm talking about, you're going to be blown away. When I took biochemistry and biology, I used my imagination. Today we got it on YouTube. Seriously, you can see some pretty amazing things about a cell. Isn't that amazing that we have this microscopic world, this invisible world that's all around us? This invisible, do you know there are clouds of probiotics off of our arms and off of our heads and off of our bodies? This whole room is filled with our microbiome, our personal bacteria, and every one of us has our own unique clouds. In fact, in the future, when they do forensics, when they find a murder or whatever, some kind of crime scene, they're not going to look for DNA. They're going to look for the microbiome, the bacteria, and they're going to be able to spot the bacteria, and all our bacteria are going to be coded for us at birth. And they're going to be records of our microbiome. There's bacteria all coming off of all of us. There's this microscopic, invisible world that's everywhere. Doesn't that blow you away?
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's what this is all about, really. It's this amazingness that's all around us and that is in us and that is us. So back to the story of the cell. A cell only needs three things. And I've always gotten myself involved in nutrition because this was a fundamental aspect of what a cell needs, is nutrition. But in order for a cell to do its work, the nutrition is important as a raw material. The oxygen is important for energy, to spark energy. And the clean place to do its work, the clean environment, is a context for all of this to occur in. But in order for action to happen out of a cell, for a muscle cell to muscle, for a bone cell to bone, for a heart cell to heart, for a gallbladder cell to gallbladder, there has to be an on-off switch. And how this on-off mechanism works is absolutely mind-blowing. Everything we haven't talked about already is mind-blowing. There's even more. See, this little entity that is 1/100th the size of the head of a pin, little blob with all these little parts to it, all these little working components, is like a little microscopic, a little microcosm of a human being. It does everything a human being does. It has a nervous system like a human being does. It has a skeleton like a human being does. It has a way of utilizing energy like a human being does. It eats like a human being does. It's a miniature version of a human being. It doesn't eat food, of course. It eats amino acids. It eats the mighty 90 essential nutrients. Basically, that's what the mighty 90 essential nutrients are. It's the hamburger for a cell. It's the cell's version of breakfast. You know, we eat breakfast, but that breakfast gets transformed through the digestive system into amino acids and fatty acids and vitamins and all the building blocks that a cell needs. So a cell does everything that we do. And a cell, remember, there's 100 trillion of these things. They got to somehow be figuring out what's going on with each other. What's the most important? You want to have a good relationship with your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, whatever, kids. What's the one skill you have to have?
Compatibility.
Communication. Communication leads to compatibility. Yes, you got to be able to communicate. And that's just you and your wife, or you and your husband, or you and your kids. Imagine you and 100 trillion of your finest friends. Communication becomes very important. So cells have developed a system to communicate. They're like little people. They're communicating to each other. And cells, this little entity, this little blob, this 1/100 the size of the head of a pin, have ears. So right now I'm talking to you, and sound is coming out of my mouth, and it's going into your ears, and you're perceiving the information, and some kind of action is happening. That's hearing. Well, guess what? Cells have the same kind of system. They have a hearing system. They have a talking system, a listening system. So this little entity, this 1/100 the size of the head of a pin, has ears. It has thousands of ears, hundreds of thousands of ears that cover the outside part of this little entity, this 1/100 the size of the head of a pin. You can imagine how small these little ears are, right? So you got this little tiny entity that's like incredibly, ridiculously small. It's got all kinds of chemistry and shape-shifting and mechanics and dynamism and kinetics that are going on inside of it. And on the outside of it, it's studded, completely covered with ears. And instead of, because in the body, there's no air to vibrate, there's no sound that takes place in the body. That's actually, there is sound actually in the body, but it's not accurate enough. The body uses another system. Instead of words, it uses chemicals. And so these chemicals, just like my words are coming out of my mouth and going into your ears, these chemicals are going cell to cell and sitting in one of the ears. And an action takes place. This is how the body works. See, these 100 trillion cells are really doing all of the activity, but they're doing that activity through chemical signals that are coming into ears that are coding the cell. What do we call those ears? Anybody know? We call them receptors. Have you heard that term, receptors? A receptor is an ear for a cell. What do we call the words? I arouse to activity. Hormones. Hormones are the words that turn on, that sit in the ears, that turn on the activities inside the cell. That's what a hormone is. If anybody ever asked you what a hormone is, or if you ever wondered what a hormone was, that's what a hormone is. A hormone is a chemical signal that comes from one part of the body to another part of the body. It all starts off in the brain, and how that all happens is just beyond mind-blowing. The main hormones, there's different hormones. There's different classes of hormones, but the hormones everybody talks about are called the endocrine hormones. Endocrine means in the blood. They travel in the blood, but there's all kinds of hormones. Now, do you get a sense that these hormone molecules are going to be important? Yes. You better believe it. You better believe it. They're important. They're not as important as the mighty 90. And if you don't have enough of the mighty 90 and you're trying to take words, i.e. hormones, you're not going to have the same benefit. Your mighty 90 essential nutrients will allow your cells to listen more effectively. Your mighty 90 essential nutrients are the foundation. So anybody who's thinking about thyroid replacement, estrogen replacement, progesterone, any of the hormone kinds of substances, you always want to start off with the mighty 90. Nonetheless, hormones, by taking them exogenously, that is from the outside, can be very powerful. And there's lots of different hormones. You guys shout out some hormones. You know some hormones?
Testosterone.
Testosterone is a hormone, absolutely. Estrogen is a hormone. Insulin is a hormone. Cortisol is a hormone. These are all very important hormones. But there's a class of hormones that we just really discovered maybe in the 1940s, 1950s. We didn't really have it down, the chemistry down until the 1960s or 1970s. There's a whole family of hormones. And this is a family of hormones that is more fundamental and basic than any of the other hormones. This is a family of hormones that there are more ears for than any other hormone system. See, ears only listen to one kind of hormone. So there's an ear for insulin, there's an ear for testosterone, there's an ear for all the various hormones. And this one hormone that we just really discovered not too long ago, in the scheme of things, has more ears for it than any other hormone system in the body. That makes it really fundamental. That makes it really basic. If the body really wants to hear this hormone so badly that it put more ears on specific for that hormone than any other hormone system in the body, that tells you something right there. This is a hormone system that, like I said, we've only really begun to understand its power over the last 20 years or so. And this is a hormone system called the endocannabinoid hormone system. There are more ears for endocannabinoid hormones than there are for any other hormone system in the body. That's saying something. And this is what accounts for its multiple benefits at the end, or multiple roles. Talk about benefits in a second, but it's multiple roles because it's so fundamental. Bone cells respond to it, digestive system cells respond to it, gallbladder cells respond to it, brain cells respond to it, skin cells respond to it. Every cell in the body is like this, listening, wanting to hear the signal that's coming from the endocannabinoid system. And what's so mind-blowing about the endocannabinoid system is I haven't already, I hope I've blown your minds with some of the things we're talking about here, but if you want more, it's endless. Yeah. I mean, it really is endless. When I first, I became very spiritual in the middle of my life. I was in my 20s after my first biochemistry class. Not even first class, the first few minutes of the first class, when it really dawned on me what was happening inside the body. There's no, in pharmacy school, when they had some kind of mystery that they couldn't understand, they would say OGK for only God knows. And that's basically how this whole thing works. So anyway, so what's extra mind-blowing, if you will, is this fundamental hormone system that's the most fundamental class of hormones in the body is also the most fundamental class of hormones in plants and in yeast and in bacteria. And there's one plant in particular, which for some unknown reason, nobody knows why, is extra packed with cannabinoids. Yeah. Extra packed with it, right? It has more there's cannabinoids, these endocannabinoids are found everywhere in nature. It's a fundamental molecule in nature, but there's one plant that's just hit the jackpot with cannabinoids, and that, of course, is the hemp plant and the marijuana plant. And the reason why every dogs and cats and cows and sheep and goats and human beings love chewing on the cannabinoid plant, and even if you don't like chewing on the hemp or the marijuana, cinnamon has cannabinoids in it, clove has cannabinoids in it, and hops have cannabinoids in it, and lavender has cannabinoids in it, and all the things we really love to interact with have cannabinoids in it. In fact, cannabinoids are produced in abundance in our bodies to the point that it comes out in our secretions, in our sweat. It comes out in mothers when they're nursing their babies. Do you ever see that? You know that look your baby has when he's nursing? You ever seen that look? He's stoned. Kind of. He's not going to be rocking out to Grateful Dead wearing tie-dye t-shirts, but he's feeling it. He's feeling it because the cannabinoids are coming out of the breast milk. You see, cannabinoids have a calming effect. They have a sedating effect, not sedating like falling asleep, but relaxing. They chill down the body. They normalize hyperactive states. And we all love that. When we normalize hyperactive states, we activate a part of the system, a part of the body that helps us grow. We activate a part of the body that makes us more creative. We activate a part of our body that makes us more fertile. We activate a part of our body that gives us better ideas. We activate a part of our body that helps our digestive system work, that helps our immune system work. We activate a part of our body that makes our bones heal. We activate our part of our body called the parasympathetic nervous system, the PNS. The parasympathetic nervous system is a nervous system that runs from head to toe throughout your body. and activates all the things we love about being alive. If you love, I shouldn't say all the things we love about being alive, most of the things that we love about being alive. The sympathetic nervous system, which is the partner to the parasympathetic nervous system, regulates excitement, regulates thrill, regulates danger, response to danger. And we all like a little bit of that. That's why we like going to horror movies. That's why we like roller coasters. We all like a little bit of that, but we don't want it all the time. We don't want to be thinking our whole life is like going down a roller coaster or like in a horror movie. Have you seen that show? There's a TV show called The Good Place. I think it's called The Good Place. And in The Good Place, they have this, if you haven't seen it, I've only seen it a couple times, but so correct me if I'm wrong, but the gist of it is that people die and they think they're in heaven, but it's really hell. And in heaven, this good place, which is really hell, but all people think they're in heaven, they mess with your head. So instead of torturing you like with fire and brimstone, you get weird credit card bills, or you get some weird thing happens with your spouse or your friends. It's sort of like life, sort of like real life, right? But we think we're in a good place. We think we're in a good place, but maybe there's somebody who's just messing with our heads. So anyway, we're all going through life this way, on a danger mode, on survival mode. We're all going through our life waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're all going through our life in this hypervigilant state. And in this hypervigilant state, it gives you a little bit of excitement, but in the long run, in the hypervigilant state, your digestive system doesn't work so well. You get constipated, your blood clots, your blood goes from the front of your brain to the back of your brain, where you get angry a lot, or you get depressed a lot, or frustrated a lot. Your heart rate gets really high, your blood pressure goes up, your immune system is suppressed, your bones don't repair, you get older quicker. You're more prone towards autoimmune disease and cancer. Sound familiar to anybody? Mm-hmm. This is because we're running our lives on this survival mode state, the sympathetic mode state. So anything you can do to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, anything you could do to activate this relaxation nervous system, it's called the rest and digest nervous system, is going to be in your health interest. And there's not a single doctor strategy on planet Earth that can do that in the same way. They can give you drugs that'll knock you out, but there's not a single one that can do that better than you can do on your own through lifestyle strategies. There's so many simple ways to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And when you do that, your blood pressure will drop, your immune system will get better, you'll be more creative and more fertile, you'll be able to digest your food more effectively, your bones will repair, you'll age much more slowly, you'll be less prone towards infections and colds, and your skin will be clear. You think you want to activate the parasympathetic nervous system? Yes. As much as possible. Don't worry about activating the sympathetic nervous system. We live in a world where that's going to happen. But activating the parasympathetic nervous system is the key to health. And anything you could do that will do that will improve every single marker of health better than any drug or surgery or any doctor strategy. And you can do it from the comfort of your own living room. And you can actually monitor how well you're doing. I'll tell you how you do that in a second. So the parasympathetic nervous system, fastest way to do it, if you want to do it real quickly, how many of you guys have a blood pressure cuff? You have a blood pressure cuff? What's your name?
Lucy. Actually, my dad does.
Okay, but you have access to it.
Yes.
All right. High blood pressure is the classic marker for a sympathetic nervous system overdrive. It's the classic marker. We have a condition in this country where 80 million, maybe 90 million Americans have something called essential hypertension. Essential in the world of chemistry, world of medicine, the world of nutrition means it's just part of you, like oxygen, part of your nature, essential. Doctors will label something essential if they don't know what the heck causes it. They just say it's part of you. So they call it essential hypertension. There's no known cause for it. Well, I'm telling you the cause right now. It's a sympathetic nervous system. And you can tell this for yourself. If you have a blood pressure cuff, you can monitor your sympathetic activity and how well you're going back into parasympathetic mode very effectively. Because as soon as you go parasympathetic, your blood pressure will drop. Blood pressure drugs,
antihypertensives, excuse me, beta blockers, calcium channel blockers. These are among the most deadly toxic drugs of all. Oh, by the way, another classic marker of sympathetic nervous system overdrive is blood clotting. Blood thinning is a sign of relaxation of the parasympathetic nervous system. We have, just like we have an epidemic of high blood pressure in this country, we've got an epidemic of clotting blood. And that's why you see commercials for Xarelto and Plavix and all these high-tech blood thinning drugs out now. If you look at the top 5 best-selling drugs every year, blood thinners are there. And blood clotting is a classic sign of sympathetic overdrive. High blood pressure, another sign of sympathetic overdrive. One of the ultimate signs, which almost everybody can relate to, of sympathetic overdrive is constipation. Sympathetic overdrive, the sympathetic nervous system is supposed to get you away from a lion, basically speaking, from an evolutionary perspective. Now, today we have lions when we open up the mailbox. You know, there's lions popping out. There's lions popping out everywhere, right? Today. But from an evolutionary perspective, which, you know, our bodies really, this is, in the scheme of things, our bodies are millions of years old. So our bodies are running on a reality that's hundreds of thousands to millions of years old. So it's used to lions, but it's not used to lions every split second. It's not used to lions everywhere you turn. So we run through our lives with this chronic sympathetic overdrive, causing chronic constipation, causing chronic immune problems, causing chronic high blood pressure, causing chronic blood clotting. So here's what you do if you want to activate the parasympathetic nervous system really quickly. The most, lions are bad, but what's the ultimate survival threat to the body that will really jack up the sympathetic nervous system really fast? What's the ultimate survival threat? Food. Not food, food's long-term. Suffocation. Lack of oxygen, that's exactly right. And so if you want to feel what it's like to have a dramatic explosion in your sympathetic nervous system, anybody get panic attacks in this room? That's what a panic attack is. Okay? If you ever had a panic attack is when your sympathetic nervous system goes through the roof. If you took your blood pressure then, it would be off the charts if you took your blood pressure. Now, so Marinko is the only one who gets panic attacks in this room. So we want to all empathize with Marinko. You all want to feel a panic attack? Here's what you do if you want to feel a panic attack. Hold your breath. And you'll see after about 10 or 15 seconds of holding your breath, there'll be a little voice in your head. There's always a little voice. And it'll say, time, breathe. And you go, no, I want to hold my breath a little longer. You override it. And you go another 15 or 20 seconds. And then the little voice will go, I said it's time to breathe. And you go, no, I'm doing an experiment here. I want to feel what my buddy Marinko feels. We're going to go a little bit fast. And if you're right around 35 or 40 or 45 seconds, you're going to start to shake. And you're going to start to get really hot. And you're going to start to get really panicky if you let it go. But you know what? Your body won't let you at that point because your body's in charge, not you, at the end of the day, and you're going to breathe. But if you were prone towards panic attacks and you didn't breathe, you would go into a full-blown panic attack. And so for Marinko or anybody else you know having panic attacks, notice that before you have the panic attack, you are not breathing. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Most of us don't breathe correctly. Most of us breathe about 10% of our oxygen capacity. But even worse, when we're under stress, we hold our breath. We contract our bodies. If you think of something crappy right now, notice how you tighten up real quick. Think about something really bad, and you'll notice that you don't stop breathing. That you're not even breathing, right? So what happens is we learn to stop breathing as we get older when we're under duress. And over the course of time, we develop these micro contractions, these little knots of energy that prevent us from being able to oxygenate correctly. When we don't oxygenate correctly, not only do we get hot, does our blood pressure go up, but we also get sympathetic nervous system activity. So if you want to lower your blood pressure, really, or go to lower your blood pressure or go into parasympathetic mode real quickly, practice what I call SDR breathing. We should all be doing it all the time. SDR stands for slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. Slow is very important. The brain interprets slow as safe. That's why if you watch commercials, you'll notice that when they show you the food, it's real slow. Watch it. Watch the fork goes in real slow. Because we relax when things are real slow and we go, and when we're relaxed, guess what happens? We activate our parasympathetic nervous system. Our parasympathetic nervous system regulates the digestive system. When we're relaxed, we salivate. When we're scared, we have dry mouth. When we relax and we watch that spoon going into the Ben and Jerry's really slowly. You can even feel it in your imagination, right? You're salivating, you start salivating. I'm not doing anything with my hand. There's nothing here, right? And you're already salivating because that's how we're attuned to be more receptive to information when we're in this kind of slow state. We activate a part of our brain called the alpha brain waves. Anybody here, any hypnotists in this room or hypnotists all know about the alpha brain waves? Alpha brain waves make you very relaxed. When things are slow, you're very relaxed. You activate the parasympathetic nervous system when you're slow. Like people do Tai Chi in the park. You ever see people do Tai Chi in the park? They're activating their parasympathetic nervous system. They're increasing growth hormone. They're becoming more creative. Their digestive system is working better. Tai Chi is one of the coolest things you could ever learn as you get older and your body's deteriorating because you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Because slow tells the body it's safe. Most of us are spending our lives going hither and thither, to and fro, bouncing around like a pinball in a pinball machine. What does that tell the brain? That tells the brain that there's danger. In fact, just staring out of the center of your eyes tells the body it's danger. There's danger. Activating the outside parts of your eye, your peripheral vision, will lower your blood pressure and activate your parasympathetic nervous system. If you read magical books, they'll tell you if you want to see auras, activate the side of your eyes because all of the higher consciousness stuff is regulated by the parasympathetic nervous system. Try it now. It's called Open Focus, by the way. There's actually a book called Open Focus where they talk about this. Where you just concentrate on the sides of your eyes. It activates the alpha brainwave system. Deeply activates nerves at the bottom of the diaphragm. They send messages to the brain, again, telling the body it's safe. So by activating the diaphragm deeply, the diaphragm is a little band of muscle that runs through the center of your body, and as you breathe in, it goes down, and it has something called stretch nerves, and as it's pulling down, can you guys picture this? There's like this rubber band in the middle of the body, and it goes down, and as it's pulling down, it pulls on nerves that tell the body, that tell the brain it's safe, because if you're breathing deeply, you're not running from a tiger. So the depth of the breath also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and then the rhythm. The body loves rhythm. Remember the old movies, the hypnosis movies? You are getting sleepy, right? The little watch goes back and forth and back and forth. If you can't sleep at night, listen to your water dripping. Just listen to it go boop, boop. You'll find yourself relaxing just by listening to it, or a metronome. Or, this is so cool, your heartbeat or your breath. Yogis always say when you're meditating, listen to your breath. Your breath is a natural rhythm in your body. You're carrying around a natural metronome in your body that will automatically put you in parasympathetic mode. You do it right now. So Lucy, if you have a blood pressure cuff, or anybody else who has a blood pressure cuff, tonight, take your blood pressure and then practice your SDR breathing for 5 minutes again, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so, and then take your blood pressure again. Guess what's going to happen? Drop like a stone. Your blood pressure will drop like a stone. Now it'll go back up again, but the more you do it, the more it'll stay down. And you're going to tell me that a doctor's going to give a beta blocker drug which shuts your heart down, literally poisons the heart, before he writes a prescription for SDR breathing? Can you see what I'm saying here? Yeah. These are all things we have at our disposal. Oh, I don't have time to breathe for 5 minutes. Give me something quicker. Here's something quicker. People say that. I don't have 5 minutes. I can't breathe for 5 minutes. So here's something quicker. You want a really extra super quick way to activate the parasympathetic nervous system to lower your blood pressure. And again, you can verify all this with the blood pressure cuff. It's something we all do once a day, twice a day sometimes. Women do it. Women love doing this. Take a warm shower. Take a bath. Women know this intuitively. Women are much more in touch with their bodies than men, right? You guys get this? Because women are reminded about their bodies once a month in a way that men don't know, and women also go through childbirth. So women become very conscious of their body. They listen to their body very well. And you ever notice, guys, how when I'm so tired and depressed, I'm not feeling good, I'm going to go take a bath. Right? Have you ever heard a guy say that? No. Women say it all the time because they know in the bath, they're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, because a bath, a warm bath, immersion in the bath tells your body that it is in the last safe place it ever was. With the last time it ever felt peace, which is where? In the womb. Exactly. So when you're in a bath, your body goes, finally, I'm home. Finally. In fact, check this out. If you're really freaked out and you don't have a bath and you're really, really freaked out, you will go into a fetal position. What's that about? You're trying to get back in there. I don't need water, but I could try. And fine. And you know what? That'll activate your parasympathetic nervous system too. Getting in a fetal position. How you hold your body will activate the parasympathetic nervous system. A fetal position tells the body it's safe. Warm water tells the body it's safe. You ever notice how when you're in the shower, you're like done, and they're beating on the door, and you're like looking for something you can wash again? Right? Like, I could do that part again, you know, like, oh, it's extra dirty. What are you doing? You know, you're tricking yourself, but really, you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system, which means you're healing. You're producing more growth hormone. Your blood pressure is dropping. You're becoming more creative. You ever notice that you get great ideas in the shower?
Oh, yeah.
What is that about?
Shower
What is that about? It's because the blood is going from your anger center, your fear center, which, oh, by the way, is called the reptilian brain, into the front part of your brain, the neocortex, the human brain, the creative brain, where we're all supposed to be living our lives. So are you getting the ideas that activating the parasympathetic nervous system is so important? Are you getting the idea that we love to activate the parasympathetic nervous system? Even though you never heard of it, maybe, never thought of it that way, but you can see we love to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Well, guess what? The parasympathetic nervous system is activated by the endocannabinoids. The endocannabinoids turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. That's why people like getting high. Everybody, dogs like getting high, sheeps like getting high. And I am so excited to be able to sit here and do a talk in front of a bunch of Youngevity people telling you how great it is to get high. But that's not what I'm really talking about. That's not what I'm really talking about. But you see, it's the taboo. How is a cannabis tincture that got you high was medicine in the 1880s? In every medicine cabinet, they had cannabis tincture. How is it all of a sudden it became taboo? Well, you know, we are in our, some of you in your 20s, 30s, some of you in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. All of us were raised after 1937 when Prohibition kicked in, when all of a sudden it became illegal to have pot, to smoke pot, and every year 600,000 people are arrested because of marijuana still. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands are in jails. Because of it, we have this taboo associated with it, but it doesn't serve us because from a medicinal standpoint, the active ingredients in the marijuana plant that we think of as a toxicant, an inebriant, activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, I should tell you here at this point that there's two major plants in the cannabinoid family. The one that's gotten most research, that's gotten the most publicity, the one that most people know about, is the plant called the marijuana plant. And the marijuana plant, like a lot of plants, has cannabinoids in it. And like the second plant I'm going to tell you about here, it has a lot of cannabinoids in it, but the cannabinoids in the marijuana plant are psychoactive. They get you high. And I'm not, you know, I haven't smoked pot, and smoking is really not good for you. I want to be very clear. It is awful for you. And so I don't judge anybody. I'm just giving you just flat out facts here about what the marijuana plant does. It gets you high, but it also, when they say it gets you high, it makes your taste buds more sensitive. It makes you more sensitive to music. It makes you more sensitive to the environment. It has a lot of upside to it, the marijuana plant. However, it's illegal. Okay, that's a whole nother story. And it is actually in Colorado. I'm sure most of you guys know in Colorado it is legal, but it still has regulatory accoutrements associated with it. It has regulatory components. The marijuana plant is legal, but it's still regulated. And you can still get drug tested for it. The second plant that has the cannabinoids is the hemp plant. And the hemp plant has cannabinoids in it that do not get you high. You can smoke all the hemp you want and you're not going to get high. But it has highly medicinal cannabinoids. Psychoactive ones, intoxicating ones, inebriating ones are in the marijuana plant, but in the hemp plant, you have the medicinal ones, the healing ones. And that's kind of simplistic because there's some overlap. THC and some of the psychoactive substances in marijuana will have some healing properties. And the elements in the hemp plant work with the elements in the marijuana plant. They work together. But to simplify, the components in the hemp plant are medicinal and healing, and I'll tell you how they are here in a second. And the compounds in THC are illegal, and you can be drug tested for them, and they get you high. The major psychoactive, the major active cannabinoid in the marijuana plant is called tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. You guys have all heard that term. Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Unbelievably fascinating molecule. We're not going to talk about that one. The active material in the hemp plant is called cannabidiol, also known by short as CBD. And CBD has amazing properties. Now, I am a pharmacist, and my credibility is my trade, is my currency. It's what I use. I have to have credibility. I can't. Some of you know I've been in the Youngevity business for 20 years, and I don't really distribute, and I'm not part of the business because I feel as a therapist and I want to remain separated from the business side of things, but I don't want people to think I'm telling you this, just go and sell you anything. So when I talk about the Beyond Tangerine, and I talk about the glucogel caps, and I talk about the Fuchs Z, and I talk about the ultimate enzymes, and the ultimate EFAs, and I talk about the Restart Your Life, I'm talking to you because as a therapist, I have to tell you. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't tell you. With what I've seen with my own eyes, clinically, with the Beyond Tangerine, and the Fuchs Z, and the Healthy Start Pack, and many of the other products, the glucogel caps, and many of the other products that I talk about, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror if I didn't scream it as loud as I could, if I didn't do a radio show, if I didn't travel around the country, if I didn't do presentations. As a therapist, somebody who's sworn to heal, that's my passion in life, that's what I'm here to do, I have to do that. So when I tell you something about nutrition or about a product, it's not because I'm trying to sell anybody anything. I'm telling you this as a clinician and as a therapist and as a researcher and as somebody who's dedicated his life to helping people heal. I have to tell you about those things, and that's how I'm telling you about CBD. It is mind-blowing. It is jaw-dropping. It is stunning, all the different health benefits you get with CBD. And it's all because it works at this fundamental relaxation level. By relaxing the body, by calming the body down, it allows the body to grow better. It allows the body to repair. It allows the body to handle life more effectively. It allows the body to handle food that comes in through the gullet. It allows the body to handle enemies that invade through the skin. It works on the digestive system. It works on the immune system. It works on every system in your body in a positive way. It's like a tonic. It's not just for healing. It's not just for if you have pain. It's for everything. In the future, it'll be like a nutrient. It'll be something you take like you take the Mighty 90 essential nutrients. It's that fundamental to the body, and it's that easy for the body to get the benefits orally through it. It is amazingly important. If you have diabetes, it's being researched for improving insulin resistance. Its claim to fame, where it really acquired notoriety as an effective medicine, is for seizure disorders. And it's being used medicinally now for seizure disorders because it calms the brain down. Seizures are caused by an excitable brain, a hyper-excitable brain. And by the way, if you're eating MSG or flavor enhancers, so-called flavor enhancers that are in food, you may have heard, or aspartame, you may have heard of something called excitotoxins. Excitotoxins are chemicals that are sprinkled on food that make your brain go, yippee! You could put an excitotoxin on a turd, and your brain will think it was the creme brulee. Because your brain is like, woohoo! It doesn't care. That's how excitotoxins work. The problem is the toxin part. The excito part is okay, but it's the toxin part. Guess what? CBD helps counteract excitotoxins. Experiment if you get some people get the condition called MSG syndrome. Anybody have the Chinese food syndrome? Right? Experiment. Take some CBD before and take some CBD after. Watch what happens. It calms down MSG syndrome or Chinese restaurant syndrome, as they call it. CBD helps the digestive system work. It's being used to treat irritable bowel syndrome and Crohn's disease. Excuse me. Thank you. How you guys doing, by the way? Because we're going to wind down. Okay, so CBD is also neurogenic. It helps nerve cells grow. They used to tell you brain cells don't regenerate themselves. Wrong. They do regenerate themselves, and CBD stimulates brain cell regenesis. CBD is probably the most anti-inflammatory substance you could ever put in your body that's not a mighty 90 nutrient. That means for any kind of inflammatory pain. And by the way, inflammation doesn't just occur in our joints or in our bones or where we can feel it in our muscles. Inflammation occurs at the microscopic level of a cell. Cells do everything we do, right? They have bones, they have a skeleton, they have a nervous system, they got a digestive system, they got an excreting system. They've got everything we have, and guess what? Cells get inflamed too, except you don't know that they're inflamed. When a cell is inflamed, the body will build a beaver's dam around that cell to sequester that cell. Usually happens when a cell is dysfunctional, when a cell is broken, when a cell is dying. The body will kind of repair that area off. That area now becomes an area of potential danger because now food can't get into the other cells. Oxygen can't get into the other cells. And this is one of the ways we get sick, microinflammation. This is how organs get sick. These large pockets of microinflammation. So there's no such thing as an organ illness that doesn't have microinflammation, not the kind of inflammation that where you hurt your joints. Microinflammation underneath. And guess what? CBD is an anti-inflammatory for cells too. That makes it good for everything. So you could use CBD for migraines, for anti-anxiety. It's the best sleep substance you'll ever use. CBD shrinks tumors. It kills cancer cells. And this is another place where it's being studied, is as a tumor promoting, an anti-tumor agent. In fact, pets were allowed to use it before people were allowed to use it. And CBD has got a long history of treating pet cancer. Pet cancers, you can actually Google this. CBD for pet cancers. So pretty much every single system in the body is going to benefit from this non-psychoactive substance, including, by the way, creativity and lowering blood pressure and cardiovascular health and thyroid health. Any other benefits you want? I mean, come on. This is pretty amazing stuff, right? Anti-autoimmunity as well. Let me just finish real quick because we only got about 5 minutes here. 9 minutes, thank you. Thank you, Professor Time. James, you on time? So these are our 3 CBD products. And there's, the whole taboo thing is really interesting because I think I don't know if these are not out. Somebody correct? They're not out yet. Because of banking things. Right. Weird banking regulations because the banks don't want to take CBD money for some reason. Like it's awful money. I'm not sure what the deal is there. But so we'll just talk about this to prepare you for everything, okay?
They'll take it for the drugs then.
The most important, the most noticeable place where the most obvious place where you're going to notice benefits from CBD quickly is in sleep and relaxation. And that's the relax. Who said that? The relax, that's correct. Yes, the relax. And this is a tincture. Tinctures are a tried and true way of getting medicine into the body, herbal medicine into the body. You just take a dropper out and put it in your mouth. You can do 2 droppers. I use this myself, and I don't have problems falling asleep, but it definitely relaxes you. And everybody wants to be relaxed. Why? Because you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you think about relaxing, it's not just sitting there and being cozy and vegging out. It's healing. It's lowering your blood pressure. You know what? I noticed this a couple weeks ago, and now I'm like, look. Have you guys seen cat videos?
Yes.
And pig videos? And donkey videos? And goat videos? And goat videos? When you watch these goat videos and these cat videos, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system.
Oh.
And we love that. And we love that. So before you go to sleep, watch cat videos. If you want to lower your blood pressure, love to watch cat videos. Wouldn't that be cool if the doctor wrote a prescription for that? Oh, cat videos. Have you heard of goat yoga?
Yes. Oh, we do it. Friends farm. We got it at the farm.
That's awesome. Awesome. Why does goat yoga work? I was watching a video and they're saying, I'm laughing so much and I'm having such a great time. It's because they're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So you know, I just thought I'd throw that out because I've been liking I don't know why I like pigs all of a sudden. And cows, there's some cute cows out there. There's this one picture, one video of these cows that are let out of a dairy farm. They've been in this dairy thing, you know, the dairy contraption they put them in. They've been locked in this dairy contraption their whole life, and some rabble rouser lets them out, and they run out and they jump like cats, like dogs. They jump for joy. These cows, they jump. You know, have you seen it? It's amazing. And they're so happy to be let out. I don't know why I just said that, but those kinds of things are things that we can use to tap into our own healing property, our own healing potential. You know what the word doctor means? Do you know what the word doctor means, doctor? It comes from doctrine, to teach. A doctor should be a teacher, not to give drugs, not to do surgery, to teach how to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, what a cell is, how the body is put together. This is true doctoring. This is true medicine. And guess what? You don't need a degree for it. You can all be doctors. I'm making you all doctors right now. You're all doctors. You don't need to diagnose. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need medical school. You're all doctors because you can teach people. You can teach you 5% of what you learned here today, or 10%. And by the way, Youngevity is about this, right? This is what Youngevity is about. We're not just about selling you a product, although we got great products and selling products. You know, I'm not Mother Teresa here. I'm a capitalist like anybody else. I want to make money. But Youngevity is about making people's lives better through this information. So if you're a distributor, go out, preach, spread the word, be a good angel, an evangelist, good angel. Go out and teach about all of these ideas. All right, so real quick. Tinctures are awesome. They work quickly. There's also melatonin in here. Melatonin is incredibly anti-aging, FYI. Melatonin is one of those things that you can get for $3 at the $5 at the health food store, and it's one of the most powerful anti-aging supplements you can ever take. Gives you great dreams too, by the way.
Have you taken to relax during the day just to relax?
I haven't experimented, but you might want to experiment that way to relax. I haven't done that. And then there's the uplift. The next benefits of CBD is it has mood enhancing benefits and cognitive benefits. It also has brain repair benefits, so that if you get a brain injury, or if you know somebody who's got brain cancer, Alzheimer's, absolutely, cognitive issues, the dementias, Parkinson's disease, movement disorders. So, what's that? Memory dysfunction, absolutely. Isn't that interesting? That something from the hemp plant actually makes you think better. It actually improves your memory, right? I didn't say THC though. THC is not going to improve your memory. And then, last but not least, we got our topical product, which takes advantage of the anti-inflammatory benefits. There's also peppermint and methyl salicylate in here, so it's a pain relieving. It has an anesthetic as well as analgesic effect. Topically does not work as well as internally. Internally is really the way to go if you want to take it, but you can support internal stuff with topically. Keep in mind, I have to say this as we close, that these are all secondary to the mighty 90 essential nutrients. So you regard these as supportive. You're not going to get the great results from a hormone product if you don't have the mighty 90 essential nutrients. It all builds on the Healthy Start Pack. And as an aside, cannabinoids, endocannabinoids, the cannabinoids we have in our bodies, are made from the ultimate EFAs. And cannabinoid deficiency is very common. Many people are deficient in these basic molecules, and using your ultimate EFAs is a great way to build your own natural endocannabinoids, as well as the other supportive substances in the mighty 90 essential nutrients. And by the way, there's also, I didn't tell you about this, but there's supportive molecules that are in here as well. I don't want to get into it, but it's not just the cannabinoids. They also put, Sanjeev and the folks who formulated that, put a bunch of what they call entourage ingredients that go along with the cannabinoids that help work much better. All right, you guys, thank you very much. I will take questions. I will. Was that good? Do you guys feel more comfortable? So, take questions. I'm sure you have them about CBD or anything else, products or anything. Hi, Anna. She would like to ask you a question. Yes, Anna. You know the right people, Anna. All right. anything and everything, but keep in mind, these are this is not the foundation. The cannabinoids work on top of the nutrients. So the nutrients are still fundamental. And by the time you have cancer, by the way, you may have heard nobody knows what causes cancer. It's called the great mystery. Baloney. Cancer is caused by a cell that is stressed out beyond its ability to deal. Cells are responsive, they can deal. But they reach a point where they can no longer deal, and typically they'll die. But every once in a while, they'll figure out how not to die, and they'll instead switch on a way of living that allows them to handle any crap you throw at them. In fact, it allows them to eat the crap and make it turn it into energy. That's how smart a cancer cell is, by the way. A cancer cell not only has figured out how to never die, how to be immortal, but it has figured out how to eat all the crap you're giving it. Remember, it's only nutrients, the cell only needs nutrients and oxygen and clean place to do its work. Crap from food, or crap from drugs, or crap from the air we breathe, or crap from mold for that matter, the cell can only reach a certain amount before it clicks into an alternative way of existing, and that's called cancer. It's supposed to die, by the way. That's what's supposed to happen when a cell reaches its point of where it can't handle anything. But if it doesn't die, it will turn into a cancer cell. Long story short, if you have cancer, this is how you deal with it, okay? First of all, you get a book called Spontaneous Remissions off Amazon.com. It's a textbook. It's not easy reading, but it's hundreds of pages of what are called spontaneous remissions where cancer disappears for no known reason. Cancer comes and goes. Cancer comes and goes. It disappears. Google New York Times article, cancer disappears. It was a famous, I don't know why it wasn't more famous, but it should have been. It's a famous it was a New York Times article that talks all about cancer disappearing and how doctors are mystified by how it disappears. People on autopsy, they find they had tumors and nobody even knew it. They had cancer. So do not focus on your cancer. Focus on making your body stronger. That's your goal if you have cancer.
Is that the same as MS where
And
waxes and wanes?
Really all diseases. Oh, yeah, the waxing and waning. Cancer tends to not wane as dramatically as MS. Cancer is a more permanent switch, but that's another story. I don't want to digress. But what I'm saying here is that if you have cancer, or know anybody who has cancer, you forget about the cancer. Your goal is to make your body stronger. And that's, under those criteria of making your body stronger, you got to do the same thing I have to do. I don't have cancer, but I got to do exactly the same thing a cancer patient has to do, but a cancer patient has to do with more vigilance. I can get away with more. A cancer patient can't get away with it. Do not focus on the cancer, focus on the body getting stronger. How does the body get stronger? It gets stronger with the mighty 90 essential nutrients. It gets stronger with the right food. It gets stronger with less food. It gets stronger with oxygen. You understand, this is all things we all have to be doing. It gets stronger with staying away from sugar. It gets stronger with staying away from problem foods. And don't forget, I always have to say this, that healing and health and wellness is multidimensional, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, in that order. Do not underestimate the mental and emotional aspects of health. Because every time you think a thought, and every time you feel a feeling, a magical molecule is made in the body, which you all know now that you've been listening to me for an hour or more. What is that class of magical molecules that makes everything happen in the body? Hormones. Every time you think a thought, feel a feeling, a hormone is made that matches that thought or feeling. Not in this Boulder, Colorado hippy-dippy way, in an endocrine system biochemistry way. Every time you think a thought, you think every time you think a crappy thought, you make a crappy hormone. Every time you think a crappy feeling, you make a crappy hormone. For better or worse. Guess what? It's so cool. Every time you think a good thought, you make a good hormone. Every time you think feel a good feeling, you want to see how messed up we are as people, as the human race? Watch this. Let's do this little experiment, okay? Close your eyes and think about something that's so beautiful and great, like your cat or your child or your money or your house, something that you love, that you really love. Now, doesn't that feel good? Yeah. Now, do you notice how you're going to pull yourself out of that almost right away? You'll think about something crappy almost right away. Because we can't stay in that place. But in that place is where healing happens. In that place is where growth and repair happens. I'm in the skin business, and I make anti-wrinkle creams, anti-aging creams. The best anti-wrinkle cream there is thinking about your cat or your kid. I say that for people who are on kids. Best anti-wrinkle cream there is. So if you have cancer, focus on making the body stronger. Eliminate the problem foods. Reduce your intake of foods in general. Food is a major burden on the body. You know how much better off we would be if we only ate when we were hungry? Mm-hmm. Would that be novel? Yeah. Only when you're hungry. And you know what's really funny about that? Next time you're really, really hungry, and they put a bunch of food in front of you, just pay attention and you'll notice that within 2 bites, you're not hungry anymore. That's all we need is 2 bites. What would that do to our lives if we had 6 bites a day for food? Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, then what would that do for the planet? But you see, the empires depend on us eating. All the biggest empires in the world were the empires in Sumeria, the empires in Babylon, the empires in Egypt, the empires in China, the empires in Europe, the empires in Britain, the empires in the United States, the empire in Canada. What do all these great empires have? Grains. All great empires depend on us eating like it's going out of style, like we're not going to eat again, and it taps into these primitive things in our brain. Notice the next time there's some chocolate or something you want to eat but you can't. You know that feeling? I want to eat but I can't. If you can just lock in for a moment with that feeling, that's Scott's going to do it. I know how you roll. Scott's going to definitely do this. So check this out. The next time you have the chocolate's there's going to be this little voice in your head that tells you you're never going to see chocolate ever again. If you don't eat that chocolate, if you don't eat that, you will never have another bite to eat for the rest of your life, maybe. And notice that. We can't handle deprivation. Our body cannot, and if you're addicted to anything, sugar, opioids, drugs of any kind, food, sex, work, whatever it is, notice it's because we can't handle deprivation. And this ends up punishing the body because we're overriding the body's wisdom with the brain. That's a long story a long answer for the cancer, but the bottom for that question about cancer. But what I really want to get, because I'm approached all the time with people with cancer, and obviously it's a horrible diagnosis. Don't focus on the cancer, focus on making your body stronger on all levels. Spiritual, connect up, however that is for you, mental, emotional, physical, with the Mighty 90, oxygenation, movement, move the lymphatic system. When your body moves, we talk about relaxation, how important that was. Movement is equally important. Now, is that you? So is that helpful at all? Focus on every single day making your body stronger. Don't worry about the prognosis. Every single day making your body stronger. And then for mold, the body should be able to handle a certain amount of mold because we have an immune system. So focus on the immune system. One of the problems with the immune system that makes us susceptible to things like mold or Lyme's disease. By the way, CBD has been shown to kill Lyme's disease. That's another interesting thing. It's got antimicrobial properties. What happens with the immune system, with allergies, with mold, seasonal allergies I'm talking about, and mold, is the immune system is like a camel with straws on its back. And every thing we do to our body that makes the immune system work is like a straw on the camel's back. So sugar, straw on the camel's back. Lousy thoughts, straw on the camel's back. Toxins in food, straw on the camel's back. Drugs, straw on the camel's back. Air pollution, straw on the camel's back. Pollen, straw on the camel's back. Mold, boom, the back breaks. So what you do when you have an immune problem like mold, unless you want to move and get rid of the mold, do all that stuff, strengthen the immune system. Make the camel's back stronger and remove loads where you do have control. And mostly that's going to be foods. Remove those loads and make your immune system stronger. There's lots of ways to do it. The Mighty 90, of course. Vitamin C is the king of immune boosting vitamins. Vitamin E is also important. Zinc is important. I can tell you all the individual ones. Mighty 90 essential nutrients. Lay off of sugar. It's a powerful immune suppressant. And cortisol, you guys all know what cortisol is? Yeah. Cortisol stress hormone. That will suppress the immune system faster than anything. So figuring out how to lower cortisol, and that's where your CBD can actually be very helpful because it helps lower cortisol. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Yes, Marianne. Are we streaming here?
Yes.
How many people are in there? It's kind of embarrassing. Okay.
So somebody said that how does a person who reacts backwards to products like Benadryl use relax?
What's that?
Somebody who I guess
She meant melatonin.
She said Benadryl? No, like
Benadryl is a major relaxant.
Right, but if they react the opposite.
Yeah, there is a weird thing called a paradoxical reaction that some people
Yeah,
have, and,
yeah.
and you know, there's no known reason. I don't know the reason for that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know the reason for that. But that does occur. Melatonin sometimes does that with people. They give kids speed when they're hyperactive.
Mhm.
So there is that paradoxical. They call it in pharmacy. They call it paradoxical effect. I'm not sure what it counts for.
Yeah. So can they relax? They may not have the same.
They may not, but it'll be unlikely.
Yeah.
It would be unlikely for that to happen. But yes, that's true. That's
Okay.
possible.
All
Is
right.
there an easy way
Yes.
to consume the EFAs?
Is there an easy way to consume EFAs?
Rather than the big pills, can you open them up?
Yeah, open them up. If EFAs, you can stick a pin in there, open them up, and definitely sprinkle them on salad or mix salt with them. You know, you can do a lot of things.
Salad with some.
Yeah, salad with seasoning. Oil and salt, oil and seasoning go together. Oil amplifies flavors. That's why we like oil so much. It makes food makes flavors run along your taste buds more effectively, and it dilutes flavor compounds. So we always love oil with spices, which is why coconut oil and spices, if you ever braise them up with fish or something like that, is unbelievable. Or broccoli, butter and spices, broccoli. All right, so we'll take like a couple more quickies here. Yes,
So
sir.
what about someone with consistently low blood pressure? You talk about the homeostatic effects of
Yeah.
CBD. As someone who's had it for
Let-
their whole life.
Where it's troublesome or where it's not troublesome?
It's not symptomatic.
I would not even worry about it. If it's not symptomatic. I wouldn't even worry about it. You know, here's the thing about low and high blood pressure, which is kind of interesting. High compared to what? Low compared to what? Or even high cholesterol, low cholesterol. What's the standard? Did you ever wonder about that? I mean, we get drugged and we get diagnosed and we get insurance eyes, whatever that word is, and we get, we get surgeries based on high or low, but who said high or low? Where did they come up with the high or low? Anybody know? It was this mysterious high and low, and every once in a while they raise it or they lower it so they can sell more drugs.
Right.
So who came up with the numbers? How do you know you're low? Well, they tested it. Well, what did the test say? Well, it said I was low compared to the reference range. Oh, really? What is this mysterious reference range? And where did it come from? Anybody want to know? Anybody know? Don't you think it's an important question? They take 100 random people and they test them and they get the average and they do their mathematical statistical magic, and all of a sudden they got a standard of what everybody's supposed to have. You know the three kinds of lies? There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. They don't pay any attention to statistics. Okay, that's what people do when they want to sell you something or persuade you of something. They'll use statistics. If you're not symptomatic, I wouldn't.
Okay, so because you were talking about like lowering blood pressure, like the last time I checked, on average, it was like 73/52 is my blood pressure.
Pretty low.
It's super low.
But
so
you're.
So if I take that, you're talking about like.
It won't. No. These are not drugs. You guys, that's a very good question. When I talk about all the things these do, lower and higher, this is not like drugs. Drugs just zoom in on something. These will lower if you need to be lower. It's like, for example, some of you may have heard that vitamin K causes blood clotting, and they would say, if you're on a blood thinner, don't take vitamin K, because doctors think vitamin K is like a drug. And then you take it like a drug, it'll all of a sudden clot the blood. No, it doesn't do that. It's if you need to have it clotted, the body will use the vitamin K as part of the clotting cascade. And vitamin E being a blood thinner, same way. So nutrients don't have those kinds of mechanisms. Not true. Okay, let's do one more. Don, yes.
Do all products say how much CBD?
Yes, they all do. They all do.
Product?
Yes, absolutely. They all do. It's all on the side in the nutrition facts. Actually, I don't see it on the cream, but there's 10 milligrams in the mood elevator,
And the uplift?
and in the mood elevator, there's 25 milligrams in the sleep. And I didn't see a number on the topical, but I'm sure they could tell you. I don't know.
So really, we should take the uplift every day.
Yeah.
I would. Remember, cannabinoid deficiency is a real phenomenon. People can be deficient in cannabinoids, in natural cannabinoids, especially if you're had a gallbladder taken out, or you have liver problems, or you've got irritable bowel syndrome, or some kind of intestinal issue. You're not going to absorb your precursors to the endocannabinoids, so you could be naturally deficient in the cannabinoids. And you can tell that you're deficient in the cannabinoids if you take CBD and you get an incredible benefit from it. That's your body saying that you were needing that cannabinoid, and that might be a sign for you, by the way, to start working on digestive health for fat absorption and using your ultimate EFAs. All right, I'll do one more question, then I gotta go. Yes, yes. Okay, we'll do two.
So one of our products would be best for migraine.
Migraines need to be regarded as first and foremost as an estrogen issue and as a food issue. And because estrogen is related to the digestive, how we process estrogen is related to the digestive system, focus on food. Look for food triggers. That's the first thing to do. The second thing to do is you want to improve the way blood moves. Migraines are caused by changes in what are called hemodynamics, which is a fancy way of saying how blood moves. And so you want to work on your blood vessel system, on the blood system, Mighty 90 essential nutrients. I take extra ultimate EFAs if I were you. Fucoid Z and glucogel caps are two very underappreciated hemodynamic supporting nutrients. They support blood flow. Both the glucogel caps and the Fucoid Z and a lot of the Youngevity products. Oh, by the way, I'm doing a talk. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
I'm doing a talk next week, or in 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
on acne. Some of you may know I'm in the skin business in my lab in Denver, 2240 Curtis Street. So if you want to pop in there, we'll have some giveaways, free products.
What date is that?
It's Saturday, the 29th, right?
Yes.
Whatever. I think it's
Wait,
Saturday,
wait.
the 29th.
Yes, it is the 29th. You'll see more stuff will come out about that.
I was answering your question, but I forgot the question. Remind me. Oh, yeah. Anything that would support blood flow, the glucogel caps and the Fucoid Z. There's a lot of Youngevity products we don't talk about the features of sometimes. Like I bet you didn't know the Fucoid Z supports blood flow, and so does the glucogel caps.
Classic.
Both, what's that? And the Ultimate Classic, of course, the Mighty 90 will, but I would be taking the glucogel caps as well as the Fucoid Z. And yes, absolutely. The drops. I took the droppers. Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you have a low white blood count, how can you raise that? Is everything you're talking about? Or is there
Liver and bone, mostly. Liver, bone, spleen, blood, all the same stuff that we're talking about here. If you have a low blood count, that means, or white blood cell count, that means your body's not making white blood cells, basically. White blood cells and the immune system are part of the relaxation nervous system. So if you're not making white blood cells, chances are your body is in sympathetic mode, chronic sympathetic mode, there's chronic inflammation, all of it. Listen, I'm going to go now, but I want to leave you with this, okay? Don't be bamboozled by the specifics of your health challenge. Your diagnosis doesn't matter when it comes to health. Throw it out the window. If you want to keep it, but you keep it at your own peril, because it will deprive you of a simple way to live a long life, to be disease-free, to be strong and vital inside your body. If you have low white blood cell count, if you have migraines, if you have cancer, if you have a mole problem, go back to the basics. Let the body do the work. Don't worry about the specialists. You don't need to go to specialists. Has a specialist ever helped anybody? You know, as soon as we have a specialty, it's like the disease becomes an epidemic.
Yeah.
As soon as we have the American Heart Association, all of a sudden we got heart disease everywhere. As soon as we have the American Cancer Association, we got cancer everywhere. The medical model is not there to do any of this stuff, but if we focus on just the simple little things, the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, the Healthy Start Hack, the laying off of sugar, eating less food, breathing deeply, practicing your SDR breathing, getting a little bit of exercise, leveraging the mental and emotional and the spiritual dynamics of health, regardless of your diagnosis, I'm guaranteeing you, the doctors hate the word cure. If I say cure, I go to jail. Nobody can say the word cure. Forget cure. I'm guaranteeing you, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to love life more. You're going to be able to throw your grandkids up in the air and pick them up and get out of bed without feeling pain, or get out of a seated position without being in agony. These are all guarantees. 100% guarantee. Better than a cure. Thank you very much, you guys.